Well guys, not sure if you heard word on the street or not, but Microsoft has confirmed talks to buy TikTok in US and they aim to finish a deal by September 15th. There's been a lot of confusion about this potential deal. Is Microsoft trying to buy the entire TikTok company or just the US side? There's a lot of different rumors as far as that goes, but regardless, there's a potential deal in the works, okay? Microsoft on Sunday confirmed that it's held talks with Chinese technology company ByteDance to acquire its trendy social app TikTok in the US. Microsoft said in a statement that it will keep working with the US government on a deal that it intends to conclude talks by September 15th, which is about, 42 days from now or so? If it were to complete the deal, Microsoft could simultaneously resolve a recent controversy in Washington and gain power in consumer technology. If you guys didn't hear, there's a lot of talk about, TikTok being potentially banned in the United States of America. This was obviously big news, and here we have Microsoft potentially buying maybe at least the US arm, if not the entire TikTok company out, which by the way, if you're thinking, Microsoft couldn't buy the entire TikTok company, they actually could. They could actually easily afford the company. We'll look at how much they would have to pay if they bought the entire operations or just the US side, in this video here today, okay? And there's a lot of back and forth from folks wondering, is this the US trying to force, basically a social media's hand, because we know Twitter, US based, right? Snapchat, US based, IG, Facebook, right? All US based, and so it's like this one social platform comes in that's not US based, it's from China, and all of a sudden it's an issue. So, there's a lot of different talks. We're not going to get into that in this particular video. For today's video, we got to look at Microsoft stock, and we're going to assume that the deal for TikTok goes through, okay? That's what we're going to assume for this video. We're going to assume this deal goes through. And is Microsoft stock a stock to buy now, or would you put this in like the stocks to watch category more? I will give you my personal opinion if I think the stock is a buy, sell, or hold, okay? And we'll look at the valuations. We'll look at, everything in relation to this company. I'll try to do a nice in-depth video for you guys here today. So I hope you enjoy this video. As always, if you don't mind smashing the thumbs up button, that definitely helps out the channel, and it lets me know that you enjoy an in-depth video looking at a particular stock here like we are doing with Microsoft here today. And also, just so you guys know, if you're looking to scale your stock market portfolio, you have 5 figures plus in the stock market, or you're planning to invest 5 figures plus in the next 12 months, check out the first link in the description. That will actually give you the ability to apply and hopefully get on a call with someone high up from my team and actually potentially talk with them about a product we have that could actually help scale your stock market portfolio. So if you want to check out that first link in the description, okay? Mr. Softy, Microsoft. So when we look at Microsoft's revenue over the years, we notice a few things. One, it's uptrending. That is great news, okay? But they have 3 main business segments at Microsoft, okay? One is called productivity and business process. The other is called intelligent cloud, and the other is called more personal computing. Now, we'll look at those businesses more intensely in a moment and kind of, we'll look at those in depth. Because when you just hear those general words there, it's like, what does that actually mean? What is intelligent cloud? What is more personal computing? Like, what the heck is that? But just what I want to show you guys here is over the last, 4 or 5 years, the company has been up and away as far as its revenue goes, okay? They just reported earnings here about 2 weeks ago now, okay? Earnings came in at $1.46 a share versus $1.34 was expected, a nice beat there. Revenue came in at $38.03 billion versus $36.5 billion was expected, so about a $1.5 billion beat on top line. Microsoft's overall revenue grew 13% on an annualized basis in the quarter, which ended June 30th, according to a statement. Revenue went up 15% in the prior quarter, but obviously with the Rona situation, it's always it's hit all businesses to a certain extent, at least in the short term, okay? Now, when we start looking at these numbers more intensely, I have a few different ones circled there, okay? Their main cloud business, the Azure, which I hope I pronounced that right. I don't know if I ever pronounced it right. I always call it Azure, okay? That's their main cloud business. Very big cloud business Microsoft has. It's been a growth beast for years and years now, okay? And it's still growing very nice. Q4 fiscal 20, they grew 47%, their Azure business, okay? Dynamic products and cloud services, that had 13% growth. Obviously, some of these growth rates aren't as impressive as they once were because growth usually goes down over time. And also, obviously, this quarter, was during a Rona situation that obviously hurt business, okay? Office 365 commercial, nice growth, 19% there. Now, search ads, excluding traffic acquisition costs, that was the one really negative number, okay? Negative 18%. I think think a lot of that, honestly, at the end of the day, has to do with Ronan, just a lot of ad rates being down across the board, okay? Server products and cloud services, that number was up 19%. Windows commercial products and cloud services was up 9%. And look at Xbox business with the strongest growth it's probably had in forever, okay? 65% growth broken out there from Xbox content services. We know, obviously, with the Rona situation, a ton of people at home, and we know anything that basically involved, watching TV or playing video games or anything like that, the business has been very strong. Let's put it that way, because there hasn't been much to do, especially when, all the kids went out of school, and then you had, mass amounts of people unemployed during the whole situation, okay? And this is a company that's not scared to acquire companies. They've acquired several big companies over just the past few years, okay? Look at this one. Microsoft acquired GitHub for $7.5 billion. This was back 2 years ago now. GitHub, I mean, just a massive deal there, $7.5 billion. Microsoft announced it had reached an agreement to acquire GitHub, the world's leading software development platform where more than 28 million developers learn, share, and collaborate to create the future. Together, the two companies will empower developers to achieve more at every stage of the development lifecycle, accelerate enterprise use of GitHub, and bring Microsoft's developer tools and services to new audiences, okay? Back in 2016, so 4 years ago now, Microsoft acquired LinkedIn, a massive deal there. A lot of you guys, especially if you're, a professional out there in the business landscape, you probably have a LinkedIn profile, or you've thought about getting a LinkedIn profile. And so when you think about this, it's not just Microsoft in terms of their cloud business, their traditional Windows business, right? The Office 365 products and those sorts of things, and Xbox. It's also, you're getting the LinkedIn business and the GitHub business as well, which are very large acquisitions. In terms of the LinkedIn, we just saw the acquisition number, right? Oh, they paid over $26 billion for that back 4 years ago. We're talking about massive deals there, okay? And these deals have been orchestrated by this guy right here, okay? Satya Nadella, who has completely turned around this company, okay? I would rate him as one of the, I think of big tech, or just, let's just talk about, the NASDAQ 100. I think you got to put him in the top 5, honestly, of best CEOs in the NASDAQ 100. Like, he's done a phenomenal job with Microsoft, getting this business back on the right track and all those sorts of things, okay? When Satya Nadella first took over the reins as Microsoft CEO on February 4th, 2014, so about, 6.5 years ago or so, okay? The company was losing steam fast. Microsoft Windows 8 had been a disaster. Microsoft employees were constantly battling behind the scenes for supremacy, and all while consumers and developers alike were losing faith in Microsoft, okay? And basically, Steve Ballmer had led this company from 2000 to 2014, okay? And, Steve Ballmer, I feel like, he just didn't do the best job with this company. I mean, first off, look at the stock price during a 14-year era that Ballmer was there. I mean, it did nothing, okay? Absolutely nothing. I mean, I think that technically the stock was down from basically the time he took over the company to the time he basically left the company. I mean, think about that for a moment. This guy had 14 years and he just couldn't, grow the business. He just couldn't do it. Meanwhile, Apple, a dead and forgotten company, came out of nowhere during that time from 2000 to 2014 when Ballmer took over, right? And Apple came on this beast comeback, ends up, replacing Microsoft as one of the biggest, if not the biggest company in the world, right? And who would have ever thought that? I mean, when Ballmer took over Microsoft, Apple was a joke. I mean, they were done. And by the time Ballmer, stepped down from CEO in 2014, Apple was the biggest company in the world. Just think about that for a moment. This is how important a great CEO is for a company, because you look at what Satya Nadella is doing, and you look what Steve Ballmer did, and it's like, okay, Steve Ballmer, you guys probably know him from the famous, really popular videos where he laughed at the iPhone when the iPhone was released and things like that, okay? Hey, guy owns the Clippers now. And hey, at least the Clippers are playing good, okay? But at the end of the day, Satya Nadella, this guy has turned around this company into, becoming a beast again. Let's just put it that way. From, basically just a place where they were not in a good place for a long time, okay? Now, if you look at the financials of this company, it shows that this guy's done a very good job, okay? You guys know, as I like to say, men lie, women lie, man, numbers don't lie, okay? Look at the income statement for Microsoft over the years. 3 years ago, they do $110 billion of revenue. 2 years ago, they do $125 billion of revenue. And this past year, they did $143 billion of revenue. That is really nice growth, okay? That's growth of, what, $33 billion from basically, 3 years ago to last year. Like, that's a really, really impressive number on top line. And if you look at bottom line, it's just as impressive, if not more impressive, okay? They went from $16 billion to $39 billion to $44 billion of net income. Incredible, right? I mean, to go from $16 billion 3 years ago net income to $44 billion a year ago, that's extraordinary accomplishment, okay? Extraordinary, like that's just crazy, crazy numbers Microsoft has been putting up, okay? Balance sheet wise, very, very nice balance sheet on Mr. Softy, okay? $136 billion in cash. One of the most cash and, short-term investment heavy companies you're going to find in the world, literally. Like one of the top ones out there, okay? Now they do have $59 billion of long-term debt, but once again, when you have $130 billion plus in obviously cash and investments, you could pay off that debt tomorrow and still have like $70 billion roughly or somewhere around there, just literally sitting on your balance sheet in cash and have no debt. But for Microsoft, they probably are paying a super low interest rate on that debt of, let's say, 2 or 3%. Like, why does Microsoft really want to pay off that debt right away? For them, it probably doesn't make sense. So, very good balance sheet. Now, keep in mind, if Microsoft was to acquire the entire TikTok company, which I don't think is going to happen. I think they're just trying to buy the US part of the business. But if they were trying to acquire the entire company, it would cost them about $50 billion roughly, okay, somewhere in there, which means essentially, right, either the cash is going to go down, right? They're going to have to, spend a ton of cash, or the debt's going to go way up. If they were trying to acquire that entire company, one of those two things is going to happen to acquire the company. Or if they just buy TikTok America, there's talk about $5 billion being the number roughly. I've even seen up, 6 and 7 billion potentially be put out there if they just want to acquire the American side of the business. We'll see what happens there, but if it's only a $5 billion deal, Microsoft can do that tomorrow, cash money, and it's nothing for them. I mean, absolutely nothing for them. We'll see what happens there. The interesting thing about this all is, in my opinion, when it comes to this TikTok deal and this potential here, is Microsoft added $77 billion of market capitalization here today after confirming talks to buy TikTok in the US. Imagine that, okay? For a $5 billion deal, roughly, they had $77 billion of market cap. And you just got to think to yourself, is this just some market getting way too excited about things? Or are there other companies out there that maybe are way undervalued? Because if you're valuing TikTok at $77 billion, that just seems like, a little ridiculous, especially if we're talking only about the US side of TikTok, right? And you guys saw it here today. Microsoft stock was up 5.62% on literally the only news was basically this, potential TikTok deal. And when you see something like that, you got to really think, what is just the FB platform worth? Like really, we got to truly think about this. If the market's going to go out there and value TikTok, just the US side at $77 billion, TikTok is a complete joke compared to FB. They can't even be put on the same pedestal, okay? It's like FB's running a whole different game than TikTok is. Well, what would just FB platform be worth? Like $500 billion, right? Think about IG for a moment, right? Instagram. What is Instagram worth if it's just like a standalone company? I would guess 250 to 350 billion. I mean, if you're going to value TikTok, just the US arm, which is a complete joke compared to IG, if you're going to value that at 77 billion, whew, you better be willing to, pay hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars just for IG, right? It does kind of make you think a little bit about things differently and maybe think, maybe FB is a little bit of a deal out there, let's put it that way, especially the way, the market values some of these things, okay? Now, Microsoft, $1.55 trillion market cap. It's one of the biggest companies in the world. It's usually between them, Apple, and Amazon and kind of the big battle all the time between the three companies on who can be the biggest of the big beasts, okay? And right now, the company has a trailing P of 35.59 and a forward P of 31.35. So, when you just look at those valuations, as far as, and I'm really talking about the trailing P and the forward P, it's a bit rich, but it's not crazy for this type of market, okay? It's not crazy. It's when you're talking about you're in the 30s, you're a bit rich, but you're not crazy, okay? But we look at the company's growth, and the company is expected to have nice growth. Current year, 9.6% growth is expected. Next year, 11.5% growth is expected. So, you're talking about a company that's, right around roughly double-digit growth. And if this company can grow at double digits and continue to do that for several years out, the stock price will more than likely trend higher over time because it's just, not many companies can do those sorts of things, okay? But when you look at it next to something like FB, this is where I have some real questions about, potentially the valuation of Microsoft. It's either Microsoft's a little overvalued or FB is just really undervalued. Because you look at FB, it trades at the same exact valuation, right? Forward P of 31, just like Microsoft had a forward P of 31, okay? But look at the growth rates expected for FB. I mean, they're on a whole different level than Microsoft, okay? 11.7% revenue growth expected in current year and 24% expected next year. We're talking FB's grow, far outgrowing, like we're gonna over double up the growth level that Microsoft has next year. Like they'll over double it up, right? And so it just kind of makes you think like, is FB like really undervalued or is Microsoft a little overvalued? And that's something, we really got to talk about here, okay? So my conclusion when I look at the valuation of this company, the great management team, specifically Satya Nadella, everything, I feel like, the company's trading a bit rich, but it's not trading at a crazy valuation. This is a super solid business model. It is built upon subscription services, cloud business, recurring revenue streams. And so when I look at the business model, I love the business model and I love the different facets of the business model and the companies they've acquired. The CEO, Satya Nadella, phenomenal. And so I definitely love so much about this company. I really do. But I will say it's trading a little bit rich when you're talking about you're paying in the 30s of PE and you're expected to grow somewhere around 9 to 11% revenues. You're trading a little bit rich. You're not crazy. You're not a valuation like Shopify or Zoom or anything like that. But you're trading a little rich there. Okay. So in my opinion, I would rate this stock as a hold right now. If let's say I do not hold Microsoft shares, but let's say if I had Microsoft shares, I would be holding them right now, regardless of the TikTok deal. Whether the TikTok deal works out or doesn't work out, I would honestly just hold this stock in my personal opinion. But with that being said, it's not necessarily a stock that makes me say, I got to go buy this tomorrow or something like that. And at the same time, if I held this stock, it's not a stock that I'm like, I got to go sell this stock or something like that. I just feel like if you already own it, it's a hold. If you don't own it, I don't necessarily feel it's a buy because I feel like there's just better places out there to potentially put your money. And at the same time, I don't feel like you should be like, oh, I got to sell out my Microsoft. Like, why you got to sell? Yeah, it's trading a little rich, but it's a great company. It's an amazing company. Let's just put it that way, led by a really top level CEO. And, that's a good thing overall. So that's my opinion on Microsoft. Not a buy, not a sell. It's actually just a hold in my personal opinion right now. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. As always, if you don't mind, smash a thumbs up. That helps the YouTube channel out and also lets me know if you guys enjoy these kind of in-depth look videos at a stock that we cover for 15, 20 minutes or something like that. And don't forget, if you're looking to scale your stock market portfolio, check out first link in the description down there. Especially if you have 5 figures plus the stock market, we have a product that can actually help you scale your stock market portfolio as we've done with so many people. Thank you for watching and have a great day.